Okay. I would like to address a joke that I made a couple videos ago, where I switched the camera from whatever setting to auto. This is frankly an easy laugh to get from people who know about photography or videography or any sort of image capturing, and I don't agree with it. I don't agree with the joke because I think it's somewhat of gatekeeping for the kind of photography community. And the reason is because the general idea is that if you put your camera in auto, you don't really know what you're doing and you're a complete amateur and you're kind of a fake. I disagree with all of that. While putting your camera on auto can mean that you don't know what you're doing, I don't think that has to be something that's looked down upon. With today's modern technology, cameras today have gotten so advanced that often the auto settings on a camera can properly expose an image just about as good as your average professional on manual. Now, there are some circumstances where different types of auto or different types of settings, the camera might not really know what you're trying to get out of the image, so it might improperly expose your subject. A lot of that can be due to composition, so a lot of times fixing your composition can in fact fix the camera's ability to expose it properly. But overall, I don't think that having your camera on manual is the difference between you being good at what you do and not being good at what you do. I'm gonna show you a picture here, and it was taken on auto mode. Now I'm gonna show you another photo that was taken on auto mode. Which one of these photos is better to you? Likely, if you share a similar opinion of my own, you're gonna agree that the right photo is better. And now here is that same photo on all manual settings. Can you tell the difference? Frankly, it doesn't matter. As somebody like myself, a content creator, or whoever, I'm only ever thinking of what matters to the audience. So all in all, the people watching aren't gonna care or notice whether or not you have your camera on all auto settings. They're gonna care more about the final product. They're gonna care more, or I think the creator should care more about how are you telling the story? How can you get a different perspective on this subject, this scene, this image, this composition? How can you tell your story more uniquely? And having a properly exposed image, frankly, isn't gonna matter whether you got there on manual settings or auto settings. I don't like this mentality for many reasons, but one of them being that it builds this unnecessary and misguided barrier for people who are trying to get into this as a passion or a hobby. I see a lot of young people or people in general who want to get into photography, and so they feel like they need to buy a really nice camera. But the only real difference, the only major usable difference between a very nice camera and the one on your cell phone is that one of them gives you a lot of options to do things manually and to get very specific, and the other one does pretty much everything for you. There's obviously some hardware differences and some lens quality differences and things like that, but that's sort of not really the point. I always go back to a quote that I hold near and dear to my heart because I think it applies to so much of creative industries in general, which is you can buy the most expensive pencil in the world and it's not going to make you a better artist. Because whether or not you have your settings on manual or auto does not gatekeep you from being a creative person. For example, myself, there are many times where I have my camera on full auto because I just don't feel like it just feels sometimes like it's not the path of least resistance to creating a fun and engaging experience for me creating videos. So I'll put things on auto so that way I don't have to worry about, change the f-stop, the shutter, I moved over here, now it's in shadow. Sometimes I just like to film it and focus more on how is this angle, what am I filming, what's the story, how does this shot manipulate, how does it help the narrative of what I'm trying to say. And I think those are more important things to focus on. So if you are interested in becoming a photographer and you feel like your camera is holding you back, 90% of the time I'm willing to bet it's not your camera, it's the way that you're thinking about how you can create imagery. Especially in today's day and age. I mean, if you're just trying to battle of who has the highest quality image, it's like a lawsuit where it's a battle of who has the most money. And I think that's a very toxic tunnel to go down to if you're trying to do this, especially as a career, because you have to be very careful. You have to toe the line of return on investment. Otherwise, you're just going to end up broke because of all this expensive equipment that you bought. You're better off taking the time using something like your cell phone and getting really good at your storytelling, at your optic eye, if you will. before you ever move up to nicer equipment. Because frankly, a professional is gonna make a better movie on an iPhone than an amateur would with studio grade equipment. So whether you're using your camera on auto or manual, you can still be an incredibly talented, meaningful, and thoughtful artist. Those are my words.